So I'm painfully aware that I have made it, quote unquote, made it, but there is a tremendous amount of people that actually exist that are really struggling to get into the research game. And I am well aware that most of those people come from other locations than where I grew up. I was fortunate enough to grow up in Canada. Um, you know, I my story, when I tell my story, it's pretty unusual within the academic game. People don't really um I'm open about it, and I think most people don't really understand the challenges that I faced. I grew up in rural Ontario, northern Ontario. There's no university around. I didn't know anybody that really went to university. None of the teachers, I guess, went to universities to teachers college, but that's about it. And I tell this story a fair bit, so I know I'm well aware of the challenges that often people face to get into and to do good research. I think often that there is a lot of people I forget, or we forget about all these wonderful people. We sort of think that there's this group, and what we imagine, I think this is what the popular culture imagines, is that there's this like group of a small group of highly selective people wanting only those selective people to get into the academic game. And I don't think that that is set up in, I don't think that that way of communicating is actually appropriately looking at the situation right. It's the fact that lots of people that are in my position or were in my position, they choose otherwise. I had to change my, complete identity from what I do. I had to sort of let go of many things of what it meant to be like somebody that's from Northern Ontario. I had to let go of a lot of those things, of how I resonate, my identity, all of those things. But this is the challenge that we face in terms of, there is so many people in this world that are capable, that can revolutionize science, can revolutionize research. I think about all of these missed opportunities simply because we're not saying, hey, uh, why don't you come join the crowd? Right? Like, why don't you be part of this? And we don't communicate good enough to realize that the struggle that we face is universal across most researchers. Um, it We don't normalize the struggles that we face enough, and so when people have a little bit of struggle when they're in it, um, they want to quit. They say that this is not good enough. I'm not good enough, and I'm going to stop. Right? Like I think if you talk to people that are actually in the career, they will. I mean, there's some people that sort of have this display, almost like an arrogant display of like, I'm successful, I'm gonna make it, whatever, all that kind of stuff. Right. Like there's plenty of those kind of people, but there's lots of people that have done it and they realize like I had to give a lot of sacrifice. This struggle that we face is very real. And I don't know what the right answers are. I am today, I've been doing this career for a long time. Um, I am just as confused about the world as anybody else. I don't understand it at all. I think I have like these, wonderful ways of how it actually works, but I don't think so. And then when I actually communicate this to other people, they're sort of baffled, right? They think that we're supposed to know everything because that is what is often displayed. That's a conversation that is displayed, is that there's this group of ever-knowing people, and it's a small group of ever-knowing people that are extremely smart, um, and they're the best in the world, right? But in reality, and they're making all of these sort of smart, knowledgeable things, right? We sort of think of I guess the image is like the Manhattan Project, where it's like Einstein and Paul Dirac and all of these folks that are just big names in the scientific community that are working behind closed doors to do sciencey stuff, and they're extremely brilliant. But when you talk to most people that are actually in the game doing the real thing, they will tell you that they're insecure. They will tell you that they don't know what they're doing. They will tell you that they are confused. They will tell you that they feel like an outsider. I mean, you would be surprised. I'm telling you this. You would be surprised how many people that are going through those experiences. And one would hope that there is a better way to deal with this, but there's not, right? Like that is quintessential about the journey of doing the career, right? So if you feel like that and you go through those experiences and you are feeling any number of different things that is negative, right? Like you name it, that is what everybody else feels. That is the career. That is the defining feature of the career, is to feel like you don't know what you're doing, to to be lost, um, all of those things. And we make these, I think people do two displays, right? Is smugness, right? Is one of the displays that we might see, but most often it's like just total confusion. But that smugness is like it's a defense mechanism, right? When I see that, I'm like, oh, that person is highly insecure. Um, they're they're not internalizing some things well. And so they're lashing out at the world, right? It's like this kind of like, a 3-year-old response. Um, where when you know that there's something, the internal struggle that's going on, you release it to the outside world. And I want you to really understand that we all feel like this. I wish that there was a better way. I wish, and you know, there is not a better way. The struggle, the feeling upset is part of the process. Um, I will, I will beg you to, if you feel like there is like this right way of doing things, um, I suspect you're probably doing it the wrong way. I suspect you are strategizing and doing all that icky stuff that I really distaste, and I think a lot of people distaste, and it's very out in the open. If you think that there is a strategic way of getting someplace and you're playing strategy kind of stuff, everybody sees it. And yes, on paper, you're going to win if you do that. Like, um, it, you're gonna get someplace, but in reality, you're just as messed up as everybody else, and you're just as confused. You don't know the world as much as you think you know, and there is not much that you can do about it, just like everybody else. So, for those of you who don't know what they're doing, cheers to you. Um, Welcome to the club. And it's a matter of just stepping forward, even though you don't know what you're doing, you're lost. Just take a step forward every day. Even if you feel like an outsider, you have all of those negative emotions. You think that you're not good enough, like all of those things, right? Like all of those things. Here's to you. I mean, you're doing the right thing. That means you are actually engaging in the world. That means that you are trying, right? Internalize that. You are trying, you're accomplishing things, you're getting going. Everybody else that thinks that they understand the world and they have it all figured out, they haven't done anything in this world. All right. Take care. Have a wonderful day.